now know the man accused of killing 25-year-old Milan Lonkar. Of course, we've been reporting on this for the past couple of days. It was released from jail just 2 weeks before the crime.
Yeah, officials say he's 20 years old, Davis Josephus, was out of jail despite having 2 open felony cases. Look at that rap sheet there. Court records show that he had charges in 2020 in 2 separate cases just last year that included kidnapping for ransom and aggravated assault. So in both cases, 2 separate judges lowered his bail, and then this guy posted the 10%, which is required. 2 weeks later, Milan Lonkar was killed while walking his dog in Brewery Town. So his family says the news of the arrest of this guy brought anything but closure.
It's just a slap in the face. It's on top of everything else.
We're speechless, but we don't want this to happen to anybody else.
Well, police say a second person of interest, possibly a 16-year-old, has been identified. They'll hold their press conference at 11 o'clock this morning with more information on that shooting. Of course, we will be there.
So we have attorney Rocco Cipparone here to help us understand bail reductions. Good morning to you, Rocco.
Good morning, Alex. How are you? I'm Mike.
Yeah, once this news came out, after we've been reporting on this story, that the suspect was released on bail 2 weeks before, so many people are wondering, how does this happen? Why was he released, especially considering the fact that he's been a multiple offender?
Well, whenever you have a case that's taking a long time to resolve, and in this case, I think there were 8 appearances for this guy to have a preliminary hearing, the defense understandably files a motion to release him from being held on a high bail because the state or the Commonwealth is not moving forward with its case. So that was how this whole thing started.
Oh, so a lot of people look to the judges, but maybe it's not their fault.
Well, it's ultimately the judge's decision. The defense lawyer is doing his or her job by filing the motion. They have a client to represent, right? And this guy is being held on a high bail without having been convicted of anything, so he's presumed innocent. They file a motion. The DA then opposes it. In this case, at least they did. And the judge ultimately makes a decision. So the ultimate authority does rest with the judge, and that's who makes the decision.
How high did the bail go? How high was it at one point?
At one point, it was $200,000, and it was reduced exponentially in this case. I think somewhat artificially low, given this guy's history. He was ratcheting up and racking up convictions. He was just 20 years old. That's a short period of time to rack up some violent convictions, and it seems like his convictions were escalating, or his activity was escalating. So I think that was a serious reduction and probably too low.
Well, we have some more details about the bail reductions. This is from the Inquirer, the Philadelphia Inquirer. They had this article, and I just want to read this part to you. In response to a motion, this is for one of the first bail reductions, from Josephus court-appointed defense lawyer, that says senior municipal court judge Teresa Carr-Denny lowered his bail to $20,000. And this is the interesting part, Rocco. Maybe you can help explain this. She did so after the 8th time authorities scheduled and then failed to hold a preliminary hearing in this case. What is that referring to then? Break that down for us.
So whenever somebody's arrested in Philadelphia, they're entitled to a preliminary hearing. And that's where the Commonwealth has to establish probable cause to believe the person committed the crime. Now, apparently there were 8 such times where this case was brought to court for that purpose, and either the district attorney was not ready because they didn't have a witness available. I think on one occasion, the sheriffs failed to bring the defendant over from jail. So each time it didn't move forward because of some problem on the Commonwealth's end. At some point, the defense gets frustrated with that and says, look, I'm entitled to my day in court. I'm entitled to have my preliminary hearing. And now I'm being held on a high bail and the Commonwealth's not moving. So the problem is the case wasn't moving forward. And so a judge got frustrated, I think, and lowered the bail.
And lowered it to, it's $20,000. So then we have a second part. This is the other bail reduction, where it says this time municipal court judge Charles Hayden granted a motion from Josephus' lawyer in that case, an unidentified lawyer with the Defender Association of Philadelphia, to reduce his bail on charges to $12,000. So that was just, the attorney, the defense attorney, trying to do something for his client, right?
Well, correct. Nobody here can fault the defense attorney. They have one goal and one goal only, which is to represent their client in the best possible way. So that's what the defense attorneys were doing. It's up to the district attorney to oppose that, and the court then is the arbiter of that dispute. which side does the judge come down on? So ultimately, the defense attorney did his job, the DA objected, the judge made the ruling. Now, I understand the district attorney did not appeal these bails, which they could have done, but that has limited success as well when that happens.
And that was what the DA Krasner came out saying, that like there's been limited success with some of these when it comes to appealing.
Yeah, he didn't want it lowered, I don't believe.
No, he
At
challenged
all.
it as I understand it. Right, exactly, Mike. I think he challenged it as I understand it in this case. They could have taken it to the next level, but I don't know that I fault the DA terribly for not taking it to the next level because it is rarely successful.
No. But it's just stunning for people when you hear the numbers, 200,000 all the way down, and the person who's being charged just has to pay 10%. So if you put them together, it's like $3,200 and you're on the street.
Yeah, and for these violent crimes that this guy was charged with before this unfortunate shooting, I think that's too low of a bail. But this is, to some extent, was a systemic failure. The system's got to get better at not having these repeated presentations of cases where nothing moves forward. It's not fair to the defense. It's not fair to society. And then you wind up in situations like this. And I think that's a sad situation.
Rocco, thanks.
Thank
you, guys.